Hey guys, today we're taking a look at my Dark World deck. Now I'm sure many of you have run into Dark Worlds before, so you probably know how they work. They basically, you discard your Dark Worlds to activate effects, and you can also bring back Grapha from the graveyard, which is really the importance of the deck. Usually people don't really make a deck or Dark World deck, they make like a Grapha deck with draw power, which is basically what this is, but there's a bunch of different things you could do, and you can also not run this type of deck if you want. It probably won't be as strong though if you just run a straight like Grapha Turbo deck. So first off, Grapha, the boss of the monster, the focus of the deck. When he gets discarded, you can destroy, and then you can bring him back from the graveyard by just returning a Dark World monster. So very, very powerful. Just the fact that he's almost invincible, he needs to be banished, otherwise he's going to keep coming back, which makes him very powerful in addition to his discard effects. And with the field card up, he'll be at 3,000, which is great for a boss monster. And then we have Snoww, so Snoww, 1700 attack. This is the searcher of the deck, so when she gets discarded, we can search out whatever you need. So good for getting the field card, definitely. Also good for getting Grapha if you don't need the field card at the moment. Very good overall. And then we have Broww. So Broww is... he's a draw power card, and he's also used a lot for bringing back Grapha, which is very, very nice, and he's also a target for a tour guide. Then we have one Beige. You want to have a low monster count in this deck, but not super, super low, so Beige is a good one you can put in because he'll be able to get out on his own to bring back Grapha as well, and he can also get summoned pretty easily if you want to swarm. Then we have Malefic Stardust. So Malefic Stardust is a good target for a lot of the cards that I have in this deck, and it's also a powerful card you can get out, and it protects the field card. So there's a few things you could do with this. This is a choice card, not everyone runs it. I personally like running it in this deck. Then we have Tour Guide from the Underworld. Again, another choice card, not everyone runs this, but I find it's very useful. You can use it for a target from the Dark World field card to banish it from the graveyard. You can use it to summon out Broww to bring back Grapha. You can use it to summon itself or Broww and bring out an XYZ. So I just think that overall it's a very good card to use, but again, it's up to you guys. A lot of Dark World decks are running only 11 or 12 monsters, so I'm currently at 14. Definitely up to you guys. And then Dark World Dealings, obviously made for Dark World, just giving you draw power on top of discarding, which is perfect for this deck. Gates of the Dark World, their field card, which is amazing because all their monsters gain 300 attack, and all Fiends as well, so also Tour Guide. And then you can just discard and get draw power just by banishing stuff from your graveyard. You know, the Dark Worlds outside of Grapha aren't very useful in the graveyard, so once you lose them, definitely a very good use for them. Then Drag Down into the Grave. This is another choice one. I currently really like running this. Just another way to discard. You can set everything you don't want to discard very easily. There's not a lot of things you won't mind discarding, so this can be very useful. Upstart Goblin used just to thin the deck. It's fine that you give them life points because you're setting up your hand in the field in the way you want it, so it's not a big deal. Then we have an Advanced Draw. So this one's very nice. You can get rid of Stardust or get rid of Grapha. Grapha gets summoned back pretty easily, and you get draw power on top of that, so setting up what you need nicely. Into the Void can be a really good card for this deck, giving you some deck thinning ability because you draw a card, and also discarding what you want to discard. So another way to discard, very useful. Tradein, so useful for getting rid of Stardust or Grapha, getting Grapha in the graveyard, and getting some draw power. Tradein does not work on Grapha for his effect. That's just something to keep in mind. Still very good in this deck. MST is also a choice card in this deck because people just ignore spells and traps and they just go straight into Grapha, but I personally think that having MST can be very useful. You might destroy like a dimensional prison or something like that you really need to get rid of. Then we have Allure of Darkness. So again, just draw power, great in a deck like this. Banishing a card can be rough, but if you banish Stardust or Tour Guide, it'll be fine. The big thing is you don't want to banish, Grapha, obviously, or, some of the other Dark Worlds that you want to keep in your hand. One Day of Peace, useful, just giving you a little bit of time to set things up. Foolish Burial, great card for this deck, getting Grapha in the graveyard right away. And then the two Viruses, just amazing in this deck because of the fact that you can just, use it on Grapha and then bring them back. So just like it sounds like, you're destroying their deck and keeping your powerful monster. So very nice. So now for the extra deck, we're going to have some 3 and 4 star XYZs and some 8 stars. So Zenmaines, Acid Golem, a Leviathan, Leviair, just some of the more useful 3 stars. For the 4 stars, not a lot of room for them, so we have some of the best ones. Exciton Knight, Silent Honor, Maestroke, Gagaga Cowboy, Evilswarm Nightmare is pretty nice in this deck to kind of get in the way of things that might annoy you, certain effects and stuff like that. So for the 8 stars, probably the 4 best ones that you want to use for this type of deck. Felgrand, the Hieratic Sun Dragon, Gimmick Puppet, and also Zombiestein. Gimmick Puppet 15, that is. Just, you know, some of the best 8 stars, and detaching is really easy to do in this deck because of the fact that you can bring things back. And then 2 Stardust Dragons for Malefic. You can run just 1 if you want, it's up to you. But yeah, necessary for if you want to actually put Stardust on the field. So now for the side deck. Again, side decks in my videos are not a side deck for matches. It's just kind of a side deck to let people know what type of cards they could use if they want to build this deck. You know, make it a little more different than the traditional type of deck or the one that I built here. So you can actually run Exodia in this deck, which is a really weird thing, but you have so much draw power that this is actually a thing you could do, which is interesting. There are some other Dark Worlds like Gold, but the problem is it really doesn't help you as much because you aren't trying to maintain field presence with like a 2300 attack monster. You're trying to go all in, so not what I'm running. Fabled Raven is actually a really interesting card in this deck, giving you access to synchros and allowing you to discard, so that's another thing you could do. Some of the Fabled synchros can also really help you with Dark Worlds. Morphing Jar, an interesting card, obviously can be very useful. It's up to you. Dark Arm Dragon, another alternative, because you have all these dark monsters, but you really don't want to banish Grapha from the graveyard, so that's rough. Trance Archfiend, also really good, giving you access to another monster that can help you discard. Solidarity, if you run all Fiends, can be useful. Gateway to the Dark World, another useful card to bring back a Dark World. There's a lot of back row that can be helpful. Dark Smog is a fairly typical Dark World card that can be really useful. I was close to running this. Mind Crush is another interesting one, just letting you discard a card. Reckless Greed, because you need those cards quickly. Skill Drain, really good in this deck because you're not using effects on the field for the most part. Forced Requisition, also a nice one to wreck your opponent's hand while you're discarding. Royal Decree, you're not running a lot of back row, so could be a good card. And Appropriate is also really good because of how you're making your opponent draw with the cards you have. So that's my Dark World deck, pretty typical. Not a lot of room for creativity in this build just because that's how it goes. You know, it's a pretty typical deck. There's not a lot of choices, so. But if you guys have your own Dark World decks, you know, post below, let me know in the comments, talk about what cards you use, that kind of thing. But that's about it for me. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you later.